like this is a character that's been with me for 15 years. And I've always had some questions about him. I've always had some really interesting, like, explain this to me and explain that to me.
So have I.
So we get to now go into some of those questions and
Cool.
sort of,
How much did they, you've mentioned in some of the interviews I saw coming out of Star Wars Celebration that, they were talking to you because you've been the character for so long.
Yeah.
How much of the story was already sort of solidified, and how much of that did you come in and have like input on?
They are being extremely open door with me on this project, more so than I've ever seen. I mean, Dave, as Katee knows, Dave is extremely collaborative, and he wants to hear what people have to say, and he's always been really good at that. Dave, in this case, is George. He is now the George level person, and he's working on so many things that he will swoop in, occasionally jump into editorial and monkey around and teach someone something. And he will give the sweeping story information and then just keep checking in and giving notes and having discussions when necessary. Brad Rao is the apprentice, as Dave was to George. And Brad is just absolutely brilliant. He did the Bad Batch. And so Brad has, he's bringing a lot of his own particular viewpoint and talent to this, which is making the show feel quite different in a way that I'm very excited by. I mean, because even the look of the show is almost through Maul's lens. Everything is a little bit more rough around the edges and jagged, and a little bit more. Everything looks a little bit more dangerous in this version of Star Wars animation, which is appropriate because it's the way that Maul sees the world. So, and then we have Matt Miknovitz, who's been writing for Clone Wars since time immemorial, and he's cooked up all of these wonderful stories. And the way that Maddie and Brad allow me and Dave, what they go is, okay, here's the story. Here's what we worked out. How would Maul navigate that? What do you think about this point? What's he feeling here? You see that what we've written here. What do you think is underneath that? And I'm like, well, I think it's this and that. And then sometimes that would make an adjustment to dialogue or an adjustment to a moment or add a little scene in here and there. And sometimes it won't. Sometimes it's just like, no, you guys nailed it. The subtext, it's going to be played in a way that maybe you don't expect, So it's fun. I get to, I get to look at stuff. I get to comment on stuff. I get to conceive of ideas and moments with.
Did you write any of it?
I did not write any of it, but I got to sit in, and I continue to get to sit in with Maddie and Brad. And I mean, even yesterday, it's like my favorite thing to do. Yesterday, I'm just like laying on the floor, and we're in this screening room, and everyone's just sitting in a certain area, whether it's on the floor or on a seat, and throwing out ideas like, well, wait, no, what if this happens? And blah, 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 blah. And then someone goes, well, that's not going to work because of this. Well, what about that? Well, what if we do this? Oh, no, we could do that.
God, I love
doing that stuff.
Me too. It's one of my favorite things.